Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Helen and today's video is going to be like what I eat in a day and a booty workout. I'm actually really achy from my training over the last like 5 or 6 days. I had a rest day yesterday and I still feel like today. So I'm going to do some yoga after I eat my porridge. So this is just oats and water. Then I'm going to add in my 2 sweeteners and my banana. So I haven't done a voiceover in absolutely ages, and I thought it might be really useful for this stretching video because I always just speed through my stretches, and if you actually want some information about them, then it is quite useful to have it explained. I tend to always warm up with my clients, and then when I train on my own, I do like sun salutation based warm-ups. So that is always a reach up into a roll down, and then taking the hands to the floor, and then the feet back into a plank, into a chataranga, which is this like half press up, and then rolling the shoulders back, lifting the sternum for an up dog, and then normally putting the hips up into downward dog. Here in child's pose, I'm just trying to get my hips as low to my heels as I can, and then here in my up dog, I'm trying to go for as much length as possible rather than just getting height. So rather than just bending from my lower back, I'm trying to push through the whole of my back, pushing my sternum forwards, etc. Downward dog is one of my favourite stretches. I think it's one of the most useful stretches. You really want to pull your hips as high to the ceiling as you can, and then your heels as low as you can, so that you have a bit of a two-way stretch. I think both downward dogs and forward folds are just so useful because you're in a stretched position for both your hamstrings and your lower back, or the whole of your back, and practicing trying to lift your tailbone in that position is really useful, because when you're doing a movement like a deadlift or a squat, you have to push your hips backwards, sort of lift your tailbone to get really deep into your movements. Because my calves are really tight, I thought it'd be super useful to do movements with the awkward chair type pose. So this is coming into a squat, but pushing your knees forwards while keeping your heels down to give you length through your calves. The main thing to lengthen your hamstrings and calves, I would say, is the planting of the heels and then the lifting of the tailbone, or the pushing back. Hanging out in a forward like I was just then, I was just focusing on my breathing, letting my upper body be heavier and heavier so that I can get even more length through my posterior chain. I then do my deep breath in, roll up, breathe out, roll down, and then take a deep breath in and I lift my chest slightly. It looks like I'm trying to get into like a flat back position or something. That is again just to practice pushing my hips backwards and finding length through my back. So just really good for body awareness. And then this is kind of more like classic sun salutation. Oh, Ash came over and had a bit of a chat. But anyway, so if you were to breathe in, reach up, breathe out, roll down, breathe in, find length like a flat back, breathe out, relax, and then come down into your plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward dog. You can then step one leg through. This is that like a little bit of a lift, and then I relax further over, jump it back. From your downward dog, you can then step one foot in between your hands and find a lunge position. In anti-gravity yoga, this was called horse. I don't know the actual yoga name for it. And really focus on pushing down into your feet, well, really in every position, but especially in your lunges, to help you find your balance. Push into your front heel. You should feel your glutes activate to hold you up. And then I'm focusing on getting as tall as I can, and then going into a back bend. So I'm not just letting my lower back flop backwards into it. I'm really trying to lengthen through the whole of my back. I then did exactly the same on the other side. Oh, I didn't realise that Adam did that to the camera. Thanks, Adam. So breathe in, reach up, breathe out, roll down. Chaturanga, up dog, downward dog. Place your left foot in between your hands this time. Make sure you feel super duper solid. And then go for a big back bend, but focus on length rather than bend. I then go through that beginning sequence as it was then. So into a roll down, plank, up dog, down dog, and then this is warrior one. So the back foot is flat, and you're really trying to pull your back leg as straight as possible whilst keeping your hips towards the front and your chest towards the front, and then that front knee, you're making sure it doesn't collapse, so you'll feel a stretch in your right hip flexor, the hip flexor of the back leg in your warrior one. From there, I went into a sort of kneeling back bend. So I make sure I find a hip flexor stretch first, and I'm focusing on tilting my hips, and then lifting and bending whilst taking as much length, again, as much height as possible. Then I do exactly the same on the other side. I try and alternate between the hip flexor stretches and hamstring stretches, so you don't just overdo and overstretch one muscle. It's good to do opposite muscle groups. This is really, it's about comfort and not overstretching. It just makes it feel really good, basically. So of course, another downward dog, another forward fold, because lots and lots of hamstring stretches. If you've got bare feet, you can hook your forefinger and index finger around your big toe and sort of pull yourself down. When you're in a forward fold, just make sure you breathe. As you breathe in, you can lift your rib cage and your sternum away from your body, and then as you breathe out, you can let it fall a little bit. So if you breathe in and imagine that you're pulling your rib cage away from your hips to give your lower back a little bit more length, and then as you relax, you can fold further, you will feel the stretch a lot more. From there, I went onto my back to do the Pilates rollover. So this is a core exercise, but also in the furthermost position, or the rollover position, you get a really good stretch in your hamstrings, lower back, up into your thoracic and up into your neck. If you have neck problems, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but if you do find that you're quite tense through your upper back, then this might feel really, really nice, because some of that tightness that you actually feel in your lower body could be just the tightness in the chain higher up instead. So I find when I'm in that over position, I get a nice tingly feeling and a release in between my shoulder blades and up into the nape of my neck, and I really, really like it. So going slowly through the movements, lowering yourself down, trying to go vertebrae above vertebrae, will give you a good core workout as you go. Or you can just chill with your legs over your head and just enjoy the stretch and breathe into it. With your stretching, the more relaxed you are, the more your muscles will lengthen, because your nervous system will kind of say, yep, this is safe, we don't have to be tight to protect our joints, kind of thing. It will let your body find that length. From there, I foam rolled, and I hate foam rolling. I was absolutely convinced that my knots were in my calves because I have been running for my cardio, and I generally I tend to feel the DOMs in my calves. So I focused a lot. I did about 5 rolls on the outside, 5 on the inside, 5 on sort of the whole of the back, and then I found a knot and I would hold and I would breathe, and you can tell I look like I'm in pain. The TVs at the gym pretty much show the news, so I'm not really watching telly other than trying to take my mind off of the pain. But with your foam rolling, do 5 to 10 slow rolls, and then find a spot where you feel it the most. And you can either do very tiny movements or point and flex your foot if you're on your calf. That really helps. That's like kneading a knot. On your hamstrings, the same thing, 5 to 10 slow rolls, and then once you find a spot, I like to rotate, so like rotate my hips side to side to knead into the knot. If you have any questions about any of the particular positions or movements that were in this video, please let me know, because I know this was a little bit sporadic. But yeah, if there's anything more specific that you would like, then please leave me a comment down below. Other than that, I will see you in my next video, which is a really big leg session. I hope you're having a great day, and until next time, stay happy and healthy. Bye.